Regarding this whole this Peanut and Fred situation, which is a terrible tragedy, by the way, there's absolutely no reason that a pet of 7 years at an animal sanctuary had to be removed at all for any reason whatsoever. They were obviously very well taken care of. They had a good life. They were happy animals. They were not a danger to anybody whatsoever in the slightest. But it got me thinking, if they raided his house to take these two animals for whatever reason they decided to do that, which there isn't really a good one, how would they go from that to executing these two innocent animals if they claim one of the animals bit one of the handlers? One of the animals bit a handler. How does that translate to both animals getting executed? It doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. I can, and not that there's any justification for it at all, I can see how you can go with one animal bit a handler, so they had to put it down to test for rabies, which there's not. There never has been a reported case of rabies from a squirrel to a human ever. Not one. Can't find one. You can look it up. There isn't. And the not only could they have been put in isolation, but there's other options. And animals that do have rabies, they don't last for more than 2 weeks tops. About a week later, they're foaming at the mouth and can't even take care of themselves, and they just die. So I still don't understand how either Fred or Peanut bit a handler, which is a totally normal thing to do if you're being kidnapped from your home by a bunch of people you don't know and you don't recognize and are, you're fearful of. It would be a totally normal reaction for an animal to bite, scratch, kick, whatever, these people that are, doing what they're doing. But how does it go from an animal bit a handler to killing both of them? Something about that just doesn't add up. Like, somebody explain that to me. Believe it or not, I actually do have some experience with rabies. There was, um, this is probably, I would at least 8 years ago now or so. But when I used to live in a little tiny town, kind of in between Brainerd, Minnesota, and Alexandria, Minnesota, kind of a midway point, there was a little town I lived in, and I had cats at that time, and there was a stray cat that was roaming the neighborhood. Nobody really owned it. Nobody knew where it came from, type of thing, and it had a really bad sore on its leg, like a really bad sore. It was like gross and pussy and just limping around, that type of thing. And I'd put food out for it. I'd put water out for it. I'd take care of it the best I could. I would just it would see me outside all the time, so it kind of got used to me, and eventually it would let me come up and pet it and touch it, and it started getting comfortable with me. And I would do what I could to clean the wound and to wrap it and to do what I could for it. And one time when I was tending to it, um, I just touched it or pinched it or just moved it in just the right way where it caused a little pain to the cat, and natural reaction, it turned around and nipped me. And totally natural reaction, I was touching the wound, and it was in pain, so completely normal for it to turn around and bite me. I don't remember if it was somewhere on the arm, or it was years ago. Don't exactly remember where it bit me. But long story short, I didn't know what the cat had or where it came from or what was going on with it, and so it was such a little town. There was only one local cop in that town, and so we called the hospital, and we're like, hey, I got bit by this cat. Like, can I come in and get tested, or what do I do, or whatever? And um, I don't remember exactly how the whole thing played out, but basically, long story short, the one cop in that town told me, we don't really have animal control. We can't capture it. There's nothing we can do. But if you catch it yourself, I'll bring it in and I'll have it tested. So I built this big wooden box thing out of like slats, and did the old cartoon style. You put bait under it and pull the string type of thing. I built that, and I actually successfully caught the cat in that. and then had a lid and everything for it. And I caught it, and I called that cop back, and I'm like, hey, I caught the cat. Can we go get this cat tested so I know if it's got rabies or anything I should be worried about? And he told me, oh, no, well, I don't really want to put that in my back seat. So, long story short, he wasn't helpful at all in the slightest, and that cop ended up getting fired for unrelated stuff like 2 weeks later because he just wasn't a good cop. But whatever, different story. Um, but anyways, so there was really nothing that I was going to get help with in that situation. So I actually went to the hospital and I got the preventative rabies shots, which was a series of, I think I went in like 3 to 5 times every, it was every 2 weeks, I think. I got a series of shots, and they were not fun, and they were a little painful, and it was just like the procedure I went through because I wasn't sure. And I found out in order to test for rabies without the animal exhibiting obvious signs, they would have to actually execute it and decapitate it, and they go like into its brain to test. I'm not the vet or the medical professional, but something in its brain they look for to test for rabies. So I decided I don't want to kill this cat on the off chance that it just might have rabies. It doesn't seem like a thing I want to do. So I kept it in that crate, and I brought it into a room of my house that I didn't really use for anything. And for the next couple of weeks, I fed it, gave it water, and slowly, just watched it and saw if it exhibited any signs of anything, which it didn't, and it was fine. And then it slowly, cracked the door, leave the door cracked a little bit, so my cats and this cat could get used to each other. They were obviously, hissing and whatever at first, but they eventually got used to each other. And then once they got used to each other, and a couple of weeks later, the cat was fine, and it was now indoors and comfortable and safe, and I was able to bring it to the vet and get it taken care of and treated. And I had that cat for, I want to say, maybe the next 6 months or so, and I found a nice home with somebody who had a lot of acreage and needed a good, outdoor cat, needed a good cat to keep the mice in check. So I do have a little bit of experience in the rabies field, and there are definitely ways to take care of any rabies concerns you might have without executing the animal. So Peanut and Fred did not have to be executed at all. It just didn't need to happen. It was a complete oversight of the government's part. They had no reason to be there. They had no reason to do that. It was just, I can't. This is one of those things where you don't have words for it because there's no way to explain why they did that. So uh, it's got to stop. This government overreach has got to stop. If they have resources to hunt down an innocent squirrel and a raccoon that aren't a danger to anybody, but they're completely ignoring all the real problems, like, what are we doing?